Well, good evening, this is Hound Steve wishing you a very pleasant evening, and I would like to talk about a little article that I found on Zero Hedge. It's by Peter Schiff. I don't know if you know Peter Schiff. He is a real gold bug, and he has an investment company, a very outspoken person on the economy, and basically the article is about almost 50% of small businesses will be closing down permanently after the ravages of this outbreak, the economic casualties of this outbreak as it rolls on through. And you know, that's really only part of the story, because those businesses that are allowed to open, and I'm sure my business will be allowed to reopen at some point, although we have now inexplicably extended our lockdown for another 30 days till the end of June, even though there have been 0 cases for 4 weeks in my particular area. I don't know why we cannot open up regionally, but as I say, the protocols that are being put in place right now for restaurants, for hairdressers, salons, barbershops, this kind of stuff. So in my case, for example, I can only have 1 customer in my store at a time. It has to be booked by appointment. There's no walk-ins are allowed. So it takes 15 minutes for a haircut. I then have to spend 15 minutes disinfecting everything in my store before the next customer can be allowed in. And so that means I can do 2 haircuts per hour. Normally it would be 4 or 5 haircuts an hour, depending, especially in the summertime when we get into our busy season. My business will not be able to function at that level. Same with restaurants. This means that they can only have half the amount of customers in their restaurant at any one time. There will be spaced out lineups around the block trying to get into restaurants. And let's face it, how long are you going to do that? How many times are you going to do that? You're going to go out with your wife or your girlfriend or a bunch of buddies, and it's a 3-hour wait to get a table. Oh yeah, we'll either get something to take out, or you just start doing it at home. You just get a barbecue and you get some burgers and a few beers, and you'll have a party at home. These businesses will not be able to survive under these conditions. And how these unelected officials have been allowed to interfere and dictate in this process, because anybody with an IQ above room temperature can obviously see that we live in a society where you can't even keep up going full speed. You need to be going full speed and a half to be able to keep up these days. My little village is a small village on the Trent Severn Canal. It is a huge tourist destination. The locks opened on June the 1st. 1 boat went through. Okay, there will be no tourism this year. All of the businesses up here depend on tourists being shoulder to shoulder trying to get into their establishments to purchase, whether it be food or shoes or bathing suits or trinkets or toys or souvenirs, whatever it is. Whatever it is, we need to have those people shoulder to shoulder. So all of these small villages are basically going to collapse. I got an interesting situation myself. I've been trying to get an equity line of credit, and I went through my own mortgage company, and they very politely told me that they do not lend to people living in small villages. They only lend to major centres. Now, if that isn't discrimination, in-your-face discrimination, I don't know what is. I mean, it's staggering that they would discriminate on that level. So how? And I'm just one of millions of small businesses. Small businesses account for something like 58% of the employment in the country. So half are not going to go back to work, or just about half, and the other half are not going to be able to function properly. Well, let me know how that's working out for you. Anyway, let's just flip over this article. It's quite short. We'll read that, and I'll come back and we'll do a quick wrap up. Okie dokie. Here we go. From Zero Hedge. Nearly half of small business owners expect to close down permanently. And this is via Schiff Gold from Peter Schiff. The economy was booming. The stock market was setting records. Then CV came along and government shut things down to minimise the outbreak. That led to massive layoffs and a nasty recession. But once states open up, things will spring back to life and the economy will go back to being great again. That's the mainstream narrative, but it's not based on reality. In truth, the economy was a Fed-induced bubble before the outbreak. The central bank has managed to reinflate the stock market bubble despite the economic destruction, but it is nothing but a Fed-induced sugar high. And the economy won't likely rebound quickly even after things open up. There are all kinds of reasons to doubt the quick economic recovery narrative. We've reported on a number of over-leveraged zombie companies, skyrocketing household debt and battered labour market, and a potential cash flow crisis even after the economy gets moving. Now we have another sign of long-term economic trouble. A survey conducted by financial services company Aslo found that nearly half of small business owners think they will eventually have to close their businesses for good. 47% of the small business owners surveyed said they anticipate shutting down, and 41% said they are looking for full-time work elsewhere. This on top of the small businesses that have already shut down and will never reopen. The survey also asked questions about the Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, instituted through the CARES Act. The results were less than stellar. As Newsweek reports, less than half of participants, 38%, involved in Aslo's recent survey applied for PPP loans. Of those who did apply, 37% said the program was slow to distribute funds, and 20% described the process as painful, the company reported. It's absurd to think the economy is going to come roaring back when nearly half of small business owners expect to shut down. Small businesses employ 58.9 million Americans, making up 47% of the country's total employee workforce, and that is very similar in Canada. Just divide by 10, we're about 35 million in Canada and 350 million in America. The economy would struggle to recover from the shutdown even if it was healthy before the outbreak. And it wasn't. So there you go, from Peter Schiff. So as you can see, folks, this is going to be absolutely devastating. And of course, you see, the government will step back from their wage subsidies and say, hey, we opened up the economy. We let you go back to work. Everything was fine. Whilst at the same time, putting in place protocols that businesses can't function on. This is going to be staggering in its proportions, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you're ready to miss your favourite store, because this is not just moms and pops, these are corporate stores. Hertz just declared bankruptcy. Macy's is in trouble. JCPenney is in trouble. These huge stores are in the same situation. They're running on a razor-thin budget. The profit margin is tiny because of the return and the turnover in clothing and shoes are very seasonal. Very, very seasonal. I mean, the clothing market always was volatile. But in today's market, and now you have a situation where people can't touch, people can't feel. That's a huge part of business. I mean, I don't know how many times I walk into a store, and I'm sure you're exactly the same as I am, and I walk out with a little more than I anticipated because I saw something that caught my eye, and I thought, oh, that just jogged my memory. That's a little job I want to do. I want to pick up that equipment, or I'm going to get. So that's a lot of sales that are being missed, because now what I'm doing, if I want to purchase something, because it is such a hassle to go to a store, I am writing out a list, I am making a plan, and I'm only getting what I need. I'm not doing any extra purchasing whatsoever. So this is not going to end well. And I have no idea why governments, we're missing a piece of information here. That's what's going on. We're missing a piece of information, and I don't know what that piece of information is, other then it's a huge power grab. That's about the only thing that I can think of. I was talking to a friend this afternoon, and she suggested that it might be just a series of stupid mistakes, and I just can't accept that. I cannot accept when, in a previous video, I said that the UN is doing a study on the outcome of this outbreak, and we're still just ploughing ahead with the same old stuff. Is this a case of a government covering up its first decision by just maintaining the whole thing? And I'm just going to do another video about freedom of speech, and it talks about that in England, and it's going to be very interesting how that is going to play out. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe below, and in the meantime, this is Hound Dog Steve signing off, wishing you a very pleasant evening, and we'll talk very, very shortly. You take care now. See ya. Bye.